You spent 12 years in school, yet somehow nobody thought to teach you how to do taxes. But hey, at least you know that the capital of France is Paris, right? We spent countless hours memorizing historical dates, but when it comes to managing our credit card debt, we're just winging it. Fun fact, over 66% of Americans report living paycheck to paycheck. Funner fact, most of them can recite the Pythagorean theorem, but have no idea how compound interest works. So, did school actually prepare us for life? Or did it just set us up to be broke? Let's break it down. Think about how much the world has changed. Phones went from brick-sized landlines to pocket-sized supercomputers. Cars evolved from clunky gas guzzlers to sleek self-driving EVs. Even our jobs are shifting. Remote work, automation, AI replacing humans left and right. Now, look at education. 100 years ago, students sat in rows, facing a teacher at the front, listening to lectures. And today, same story, just with a PowerPoint. Sure, some elite private schools have moved forward, interactive lessons, hands-on problem solving, access to the latest tech, but for the other 90%, it's still textbooks, standardized tests, and a bell ringing like we're factory workers changing shifts. Public schools have been around forever, but the modern education system really took shape in the 19th century. It was built for the industrial economy, teaching literacy, discipline, and punctuality. Basically, it was a factory worker training program. And here we are, in the age of startups, AI, and crypto, still being trained as if we're all about to start cooking in at a textile mill. Let's talk numbers. The average college graduate in the US carries over $38,000 in student loan debt. Collectively, Americans owe a staggering $1.77 trillion in student loans as of 2025. So, we have a system where students accumulate massive debt but aren't equipped with the knowledge to manage it. Let's dive into how schools keep you financially illiterate. First up, schools don't teach you how to manage money. They'll teach you how to analyze 18th century poetry, but good luck figuring out why your credit score just dropped 50 points overnight. Only 25 US states require high school students to take a personal finance course. That means in most places, you'll learn more about parallelograms than about how to avoid drowning in debt. Meanwhile, 60% of Americans say personal finance is one of the most useful subjects that should be taught in high school. Yet, schools prioritize subjects like advanced calculus or teaching you why you shouldn't max out your credit card on a new gaming setup. This lack of financial education leaves many vulnerable to debt, bad credit, and thinking leasing a brand new BMW is a smart investment. So, schools don't teach us how to handle money. But it gets worse. They also condition us to stay dependent on the system. Think about it, school rewards obedience, not creativity. Follow the rules, memorize the facts, pass the test. Meanwhile, in the real world, the people who take risks and break the rules often succeed the most. The grading system teaches us that mistakes are bad, but in business and in life, mistakes equal learning, which equals growth. Imagine if Elon Musk quit every time he failed. He'd be working at a used car dealership by now. That's why so many people graduate with the mindset of just get a good job instead of create something of value. Schools train us to be employees, not entrepreneurs. A huge number of self-made millionaires were terrible students because they didn't fit into the system. The system isn't designed for visionaries, it's designed for people who can follow instructions. People like Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, and Elon Musk weren't straight A students, but they had vision and took risks. But schools don't teach risk-taking. They train you to follow orders and fear failure. The result? Millions of people stuck in jobs they don't like. Afraid to take the leap into something bigger, because when all you've ever learned is to follow instructions, making your own path feels impossible. So, schools don't teach us how to manage money and condition us to be obedient workers. But wait, there's more. Let's talk about the ultimate scam: student debt. As of 2025, the average federal student loan debt per borrower in the US is around $38,375. That's like buying a brand new car, except you don't get a car, you just get debt. This means graduates start their careers already buried in debt. Imagine finishing school, feeling like an adult, and then realizing, congrats, you now owe more money than you've ever had in your life. Instead of investing in assets, starting businesses, or even affording a decent apartment, most grads are stuck making monthly payments for the next 20 to 30 years. Hope you like ramen noodles. This debt trap keeps people from financial independence and locks them into the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. You studied for years, and now your biggest math problem is figuring out how to afford rent and groceries at the same time. By the way, if you want a deep dive into how colleges and student loans are shaping the economy and your wallet, I've got a full video breaking it all down. Check it out, link in the description. But despite all these flaws, school isn't completely useless. It does teach you some valuable skills, like how to sit still for hours and ask permission to go to the bathroom. Alright, we've spent a lot of time discussing what school doesn't teach us, but to be fair, it does provide some important life skills. Just maybe not in the way we expect. Time management is a big one. Between juggling assignments, exams, and extracurriculars, school teaches us how to handle multiple responsibilities at once. Sure, sometimes that meant writing an essay at 2 a.m., but hey, that's real-world preparation. Problem solving is another key skill. Whether it's figuring out a tricky math problem or coming up with an excuse for why your homework mysteriously disappeared, school forces us to think on our feet. And let's not forget resilience. School is full of ups and downs. Good grades, bad grades, tough teachers, long nights of studying, but we get through it. And that builds persistence, which is invaluable in the real world. So yes, while school might not teach us everything we need to know about money or taxes, it does equip us with critical skills that shape us how we navigate life. So, now that we know the flaws of the education system, what can we do about it? Complaining won't fix anything, but taking control of your own education? That can change everything. First, financial literacy. Schools won't teach you how to manage money, so you have to learn it yourself. Start with books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki or The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. These books break down money in a way schools never did. Second, alternative education. There are also free resources: YouTube, podcasts, blogs, and courses on platforms like Udemy and Coursera. If you have internet access, you have no excuse not to learn. Finally, side hustles. The best way to learn about money is to start making it, because experience beats theory every time. Freelancing, e-commerce, content creation. There are endless ways to start building something outside of a traditional job. The sooner you start, the faster you learn. The bottom line, your financial future isn't in the hands of a school, it's in your hands. No degree will save you if you don't take action. Alright, let's be real for a second. School gave us some useful skills, but when it comes to money and success, most of us were left figuring things out on our own. We spent years memorizing facts, following rules and avoiding mistakes, only to step into the real world and realize that success works the opposite way. Turns out, nobody ever got rich by perfectly following instructions. Learn about money, invest in real-world skills, and don't be afraid to break out of the employee mindset. Because work hard and retire at 65 is starting to sound like the biggest scam ever. Now, let's hear from you. If you could go back in time, what's one financial lesson you wish you learned in school? And if you could add one subject to the school curriculum, what would it be? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.